What is the fastest way to lose the biggest, highest amount of body fat possible? That's what we're going to cover in this video. But before we go into it, please click the subscribe button below, because this is the channel where you're going to learn exactly how to become that probably less than 1% of entrepreneurs out there who are not just successful, but also have a strong looking, high performing, healthy, and sexy and ripped body to go along with your business success. What's up, everybody? This is Coach Amir from 7figurebody.com, and in this video we're going to talk about how to lose the absolute biggest amount of body fat. So how to lose the most weight in the shortest amount of time possible. And no, I'm not talking about, hey, let's dehydrate ourselves, or let's, like the funny things that I used to, let's cut off your legs and arms, that's how you lose weight. No, I'm talking about like actually losing the highest amount of actual body fat, like leaning out as much as you possibly can, as quickly as possible. Sounds good? Let's get straight into it. So the first thing we need to talk about is what is it that the body needs to survive? It needs calories, right? So we basically need to get your calories to the lowest possible level and basically stick to that for as long as we can. And I'm going to have some recommendations on this, but please remember, before we go into the nitty-gritty of actually how to do this, couple of things. Number one, do not look at this as an actual diet. This is not a diet. This is not something you should aim to do for 3 months and you're going to go from obese to jacked. And no, do not do this, okay? You're only using this if you need something that is really, really fast. Like, for example, you have an event, a pool party, wedding, whatever, something, and you have like 2 to 3 weeks, maybe, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do whatever I can and basically suffer. You literally will suffer this time. I normally have, everything that I set up for my clients is no suffering, no hunger, none of that. This is not that. This is absolutely going to be suffering. It's going to suck. You're going to be hungry, but it will give you the fastest possible results. Okay, so remember, this is not a diet. Number one, do not look at this as a long-term diet. This is only a short-term thing. Okay. Number two, remember, because the calories are so low, the chance of losing muscle is really, really high. Because of that, you have to do 2 full body workouts every single week and not more, okay? So maybe 2 to 3 full body workouts, not more, because if you do more, it's just going to be, possibly getting injured, getting sick, all of these things that can happen when you're really low calories. So 2 workouts are enough to basically maintain your muscle. So do not think that over these 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to gain some muscle. You're not. Your calories are so low that basically we're trying to save muscle from being lost, being, basically burned off, okay? So you need to do 2 full body workouts. And number 3, third thing that you have to absolutely agree and kind of like, swear on whatever your life that you will not break. Do not do cardio, especially by all means, do not do high intensity cardio like sprints and intervals. This is the worst possible thing. You never, ever, ever want to do that on calories that are going to be this low as they will here. So you're going to be on very low calories. You're going to be hungry. You're going to suffer. It's going to suck, but it's going to give you awesome results. Remember, this is very temporary, very short term. And then the fourth thing actually that I want you to absolutely be aware of, anything you lose is not going to keep, basically you're not going to be able to sustain that. You're going to gain all of this back, okay? If you're not okay with that, don't do this, okay? This is the reason I'm saying, if you have something that's really important, an event, so some kind of deadline that you have 2 to 3 weeks to, and you're okay getting as lean as you possibly can up to that time and then regaining it all back right after it, you have to be okay with that. If you're not, don't do it. This is not for you, okay? And that final thing, I guess at this point I have to say this. This is not medical advice. You please have to check with your physical, your doctor or whoever, like medical professional before doing anything like this, because it's a bit extreme. It could be potentially dangerous if you have some kind of like diseases or something. So please remember, this is not medical advice. You're doing this on your own. Like, you are responsible for anything that comes out of this. Now, one thing that will come out of this, if you do this, you're going to burn a ton of fat. Yes, and we can do some calculations on exactly how much body fat you can lose, but it's way more than is normally possible. Like maybe, normally, as I talked in this video here, how much body fat you can lose, click here to watch that video. That's under normal conditions. You're never hungry. You enjoy all the foods. You take a couple of months to get lean, as you should, okay? This is not that, okay? This is extreme approach only for special occasions. Okay, and please look at it as such. Do not think that, oh yeah, this is great, but I'm just going to do this for 3 months. You won't. You will absolutely crash and burn way before that and regain it all back. Now, either way, you're probably going to regain it all back, simply because losing body fat this quickly is probably not going to allow you to basically keep it off. Very likely you're going to regain it all back. But again, if you have a specific deadline, this is what it's for, right? If you don't want this or don't need it, just disregard this whole video, because it doesn't really matter to you. But if you want to, you have a specific deadline and you want to lose as much body fat as possible, drop as much weight as you possibly can in the shortest amount of time possible, this is for you. Okay, so having said all this, let's go into the protocol. Okay, so number one thing, protein is the most important. So simply, this is one of those exceptions where you need more than 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So simply aim for 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Very simple. If you weigh 200 pounds, aim for whatever that is, 240 to, 300 grams of protein per day. Okay, I think that's what it is. But basically, 1.2 if your body fat percentage is higher, if you're relatively leaner. So let's say if you are a man and then you are 25% body fat or higher, or a woman 35% body fat or higher, 1.2 grams per pound of body weight is enough protein. Okay. If you are leaner than that, let's say if you're a man, 20% body fat, you're a woman, 30% body fat or so or less, and you're trying to do this and get really lean, okay, in that case, go maybe 1.4, 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. This is the most important thing. Now remember, 2 lifting workouts per week, no cardio whatsoever. If you want to do steps, like actually increase your NEAT, and if you don't know what NEAT is, click here for this video, like somewhere here. I'm going to show you, in that video, I broke down the 4 things that actually burn calories, the calorie output, what people call metabolism. It's not what it is, but basically it's the calorie expenditure part, has 4 things. One of them is NEAT, which basically comes down to your steps. You can certainly do steps on this protocol, but don't go crazy. Like 10, 15,000 steps is more than enough, okay? All right, so protein, we have that down. You now know exactly how much protein you should eat. The other 2 macronutrients, carbs and fats, we need to completely minimize them to almost nothing, okay? So remember, this is an extreme protocol, not to be used anything longer than 2 to 3 weeks, okay? Even that maybe is too much, 3 weeks for many. 2 weeks is probably enough. And how do you do this? So basically what you do is you take omega-3 pills. This is the actual only essential body fat that is out there that your body actually needs to survive. We can't get this from food. We can't get this from, like, the body can't synthesize it on its own. We have to take it from the external world. How much should you take? 2 to 3 grams of actual EPA and DHA combined, right? So if you look at that omega-3 pill, not everything that is in that pill is actual omega-3s. It's mostly is just filler. So please look at EPA and DHA. What's the amount of actual EPA and DHA in that pill? And then figure out how many of those you need to get 2 to 3 total grams of EPA and DHA per day. That's how much fat you need. All the other fat, cut them out. Like, you're eating nothing else. Carbs, you basically need 0 carbs, so we don't need any of them, so absolutely nothing else. The only thing that you need to add to this in order to be able to actually stick to this is large amounts of actual green leafy vegetables. I'm talking salads that are amount that you can be like, hey, 10 people can eat this, right? That's how much, leaves, like, salads, spinach, greens, whatever it is. And of course you can have some like broccoli or cauliflower to like fill you up, but basically large amounts of vegetables and this protein, that's the only thing we need to have. Now, of course, if you ask, okay, how can I have that much protein without getting fat? Sorry, but these have to be only lean protein sources. So you can't have red meat, you can't have fish, you can't have eggs, because they have a ton of fat. We're trying to reduce the calories as low as we possibly can. So therefore, what you really need is focus on leanest protein sources there are. So we're talking chicken breast, turkey breast, lean white fish, maybe extremely lean. Even the leanest of red meats is going to have some fat, and that's okay. Remember, you can't really have, at the end of the day, you won't be able to survive this for 2 to 3 weeks without getting at least a little bit of fat. Right, so if you get 20, 30 grams of fat per day, let's say you have, a little bit of lean red meat, or maybe you have an egg or 2 or some nuts, that's totally fine. But remember, we're trying to lower that as low as we possibly can because remember, if you have something that's that important, like a wedding, like hopefully once in your life you're only getting married, so well, who knows, maybe a couple of times, but let's say it's very important to you and you're like, I'm going to do whatever it takes, I'm going to suffer and basically suffer through it for 2 weeks. Well, in that case, we're really trying to lower all the calories from fats and carbs as much as we can. And of course, one thing I suggest is do not count you don't have to count calories as long as you stick to this, okay? As long as you do this, basically you're going to have to make a count of protein so you know where the protein intake is, right? How much grams are you actually getting? On the other hand, basically nothing else is allowed from any other food other than just actual salads and green leafy vegetables and this lean protein, nothing else. So make sure to get 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Okay, very simple calculation. And then nothing else other than a ton of vegetables, green leafy vegetables ideally. We don't want to have things like carrots and peppers. You can, again, it's not a big deal, of course, because they have some carbs, whatever, but it's going to be minimal anyway. But we're trying to do like really, really, really low, all the calories and all the fats and carbs. So basically, spinach, salads, romaine lettuce, broccoli, cauliflower, these are your like main things. I want you to have that 3 times a day, huge, or however many times you're eating. If you're eating 2 meals a day, then huge portion of this, and a huge portion of lean protein, and eat that as many times you're eating. No snacks, nothing else. Can you add some protein shake to meet that protein requirement? Yes, you certainly can. You're probably going to need to. In that case, we're using the longest digesting protein supplement, and that is casein. Okay, protein from milk has 2 types of protein in it: whey and casein. Whey is about 20%, 80% is casein. Find casein protein supplement and use that because it's very long digesting. What does that mean? That means it's higher in satiety. Because if you drink whey protein, you're going to notice 30 minutes to an hour later, you're hungry again, right? Because it's digested, right? And then it spikes up your hunger. Casein is the opposite. Casein is very, very slow digesting. It's going to make you help you get full for many hours. That's why I use casein only, okay? 2 lifting workouts per week, full body workouts. Try to hit like big muscle groups with compound movements. Whatever weight you want, anywhere from 6 to 10 reps, decently heavy. Okay, be extremely, extremely careful to not get injured, because when calories are this low, everything kind of is, like risk of injury goes up because you're not as focused and blah, 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 right? But remember, again, this is like, if this is 2 weeks, you're basically going to do 4 total workouts over 2 weeks in the gym to save the muscle. So high protein and those lifting workouts save the muscle, and then the huge calorie deficit we're creating actually burns the fat. This is the way to lose the most body fat in the shortest amount of possible, that nothing else exists out there that is better. And this is a protocol called PSMF, which is basically protein spirit modified fast. Essentially, this has been used for 100 plus years. They back in the day, like early 1900s, they used this for obese people to actually lose a lot of weight while keeping their muscle intact, so without burning muscle, just burning body fat. And it actually works. It's extremely hard. I sometimes, have a client who says, by the way, I do not like this. I do not suggest it. It's a horrible thing to do, simply because you have to suffer through it. You're hungry. It sucks. It creates awesome results, by the way, for that very short period of time. You can lose up to 3. One of my clients lost 4 pounds of body fat per week for 2 weeks. So 8 pounds in 2 weeks is amazing, but it's very short term. Your body is in such shock that it's losing so fast. You're probably going to gain it all back very quickly. So please make sure to understand you're going to gain it all back. You're not going to do this for a month, lose 20 pounds of fat and keep it up. You won't. Even if you stick to this for a month, which is too long, and you should not do it this long, please remember, don't do it this long, okay? And you probably won't be able to anyway because it's too hard. Suffering is just too great. I've tried it for 1 week and I'm like, I never want to do this shit again. And you really shouldn't, unless, again, you have like really, really reason for that. Let's say somebody said, hey, Amir, here's $100 million. 2 weeks from now, you need to have a photo shoot. I'd be like, okay, let's do it, right? But of course, aside from those silly, extreme, never to happen examples, you really shouldn't be doing this, okay? I hope I've made this clear enough. Don't do this, it's extreme, but despite of what I say and what I think about it and what I suggest, some people are still gonna do it. Like, I can't tell you how many times a client somebody comes and says, hey, coach, I've heard you, great coach, and I have wedding in 2 weeks, what can we do? And I'm like, well, I don't need to coach you really. Here's what to do for 2 weeks. If you want to really do this properly, let's talk after your wedding and get you lean so you can stay lean for the rest of your life, right? But it's going to take a couple of months, 2 to 4 months for most people, okay, to get really, really lean and stay that lean forever. It's much better than trying to do it in 2 weeks because you're going to regain it all back. So guys, hope you liked this. If you did, click the like button below, hit that notification bell, and subscribe to the channel. And also, please let me know in the comments below what you think about this. Did you find this helpful? And what do you generally see this as? Like, are you going to use this? If you do this, please let me know in the comments below how it went and how much you lost and how did it go after. Because I've done it with many clients. I know exactly what happens, but I'd like to know what your experience with it is. So thank you guys again for watching. Again, subscribe to that channel if you haven't already. See you in the next video.